Welcome back to Rebuild Rescue. All right, guys, so back in the hangar, working the 401. Simon and TJ flew their warbirds up here to check out the 401 and to offer their help. I've been talking to them pretty much a few times a day since, and they think that we can get about 8 APs together to come up and work on this. So we're getting some things together. I know it's taken a while. I've been down and out. In fact, I got an x-ray and my bones are healed up enough to start putting weight on it. That means 10 pounds or so, but it's one step closer, like the 401, to being able to move under its own power. Let's get back at it. We got some tires to work on, we got some brakes to work on, we got some struts to work on. Let's grab the jack, actually, that's holding up the Bonanza right now. Let's remove that. We'll get it under the 401 and get it raised up, get some weight off that suspension so we can get some nitrogen in that strut. So most, if not all, airplanes have specified jack points, because you just can't put pressure anywhere. It's got to be a really strong point because it's literally goes on like the point of a jack. So that's like a ton of pressure in one specific area. So you have to be careful when you're jacking up an airplane. It's pretty scary. All right, so we got all the weight up off the strut, and right now it's sitting about where you would normally have it set if the pressure was set in the strut under its own weight. It may be about an inch higher than what it normally would be. It's up under its own pressure. We pulled the jack out. If I don't hear any leaks, it's staying up on its own. Awesome. As I'm looking underneath here, I am seeing some places where there's some surface corrosion. It's not bad though. There's definitely some surface corrosion. When this gets stripped and repainted, all that stuff's going to get fixed. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see like the 401 in bare metal. In another episode, we're going to go over like the stages of repair that we're looking at, but that'll be later. So I think I'll get the jack over here. We're going to jack this up. I just want to see if this strut is stuck in this position or if it does in fact have some pressure in it, so it's pressurized in this position. It jacked right up, the strut did come out. So after like 17 years, still has its original pressure, well, or at least almost its original pressure, which is actually really, really impressive. So I think while we're here, I think I'm actually going to pressurize this strut equally with the other one. Yeah, that's perfect. We got nitrogen in both rear struts, and they're both holding really well. I have a little extra in that right one. I'll probably level that off here in a little bit, but the left one's holding, it pumped right up. Like really everything's going so well today, knock on fake wood, that I start getting a little bit worried, but let's just keep at it. Let's get this front tire off and let's get a new tire on. So the 401's getting new sneakers. I'm gonna get the hang of this yet. We did pump this strut up, and now that I put a little bit of weight back on it from filling up the other struts, it did lose some air pressure, so I'm thinking this strut here, you know, it definitely needs rebuilt, but really surprised that after that many years, it's even holding that much. All right, so, oh, those bearings may need a little attention in there. So one of the things that I am often just really surprised about you know, aviation and about general aviation is the engineering. So this is the axle bolt for the front of this huge airplane that you're landing, you know, around 100 miles an hour, where there's up to 6,000 pounds landing. Anyway, you guys get the point. You know, and these will fly for years and years and years. I mean, there's so much engineering and just so much thought, and you know, they continue to amaze and surprise me. Is that rudder moving? So again, after 17 years, for the first time this is jacked up off the ground. I'm turning the nose gear. The rear rudder's moving. It's pretty loose, it's pretty free. So that tells me that from here up to the pedals and then all the way back to the rudder, everything's free. No, I'm actually kind of trying to figure out how this comes apart. I need a hammer and a pretty strong flathead screwdriver, yeah.
Is that gonna be the blue one?
Yeah. Thank you. One of the things with this airplane being so old, this tire being on there's like forever, I'm a little worried about how I'm gonna pop this bead, you know, to get the tire off and get the new tire on. When I was thinking about it, on an airplane, it's not a steel belted radial like a car. It's literally got nylon cord. So I think we could let the air out of this and literally just cut the sidewall right off the side of the tire and get it off the wheel and then put the new tire on. All right, we got the bead loose. I am going to lube up the bolts on here. This is a two-piece wheel, so we'll separate it, and then we'll be able to get in here and clean the corrosion up in there. I mean, if you guys look in there, you'll see when I pull this apart, but it's got like a good amount of corrosion. Actually, this bead was stuck to there as well, so. I think we'll pull this retaining ring out too, because I'd like to get in here and clean out all the bearings. And get some fresh grease in here while we're working on it. Here's the bearings, just angular contact bearing, just like a car. And actually there's think it might have a tiny little bit of rust in here, but it looks like more surface than anything else. The bearing looks like it's in perfect shape. But we'll clean those up, get new grease in there and pack everything right. And the bearing looks to be a little bit more dry, so it'll be good to get those cleaned up and get the races in here cleaned up, check them for any pitting or anything like that. Yeah, so interestingly enough, if you look at the two halves on here, one half zero corrosion, the other half has a bunch of corrosion, but the reason it does is because of this valve stem hole, right? So it would get moisture or water in here. If it was sitting on the downside and you know, moisture got in here, it would seep down into the wheel. So this was probably always moist inside here. All right, so we have this old worn out tubed tire. That's a 6.6 and that's a 650/10. That's a left tire. All right, so we were getting the front tire all ready to go. I realized we don't have the front tire here yet. We just have one of the mains. We're gonna get the cowlings put on here, get this all buttoned up, and then we're gonna get the tires on, and then we're gonna pull it outside. And then the 401 is gonna move under its own power for the first time in 17 years. Let's get these on. All right, so we got the underside of this cowling attached and secured. I think all we really need to do is close up the airbox and get the top of the cowling, and engine number 2 has all the cowlings on. Just gonna jump over and get engine number 1. All right, the front goes under first. We have the cowling all assembled. It is secured. There's like 2 screws missing that I don't have that we have to order. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this is what the airplane used to look like, kind of like the battery cover over there. And this is what it looks like now. So if you guys were here and could see this, it's crazy. And it makes me excited. It reminds me how bad this thing was just a few months ago. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure you click the link down below in the description of the cleanup that Larry did from Ammo NYC. Looking at this just reminds me of how awesome of a job they did. All right, we have the lower cowling on, we have the upper cowling on, the front of that cowling's on. We have the flaps secure, engine 1's all buttoned up. And actually, if you guys remember from the very first episode, this cowling was hanging off of the 401 on the bottom. This is the first time this engine's been covered up in who knows how many years. Now, we gotta get that front tire finished up. So we did get a package in a few minutes ago. I'm hoping in this box is the other rear tire and the front tire so we can actually get this thing on the ground. All right, there's our new front tire. And here is the other new rear tire. All right, so we got the tube in the front tire. We have it all powdered up. Looks like we're ready to put these wheel halves in and get the wheel together. Need to be really careful not to pinch this tube as we get this other half set down in here. So we're just gonna get these 3 bolts tightened up, just snugged up a bit, and then we'll come back and torque them later. After the tube expands inside the tire, I always like to air them down and kind of bounce them around a bit and make sure the make sure the tube is settled in there so nothing's pinching or twisted or anything like that, and then I air it back up. I've had a lot of good luck over the years doing that. All right, we got the tire mounted, we got the tube in, everything's straight, everything's holding air. We torqued down the wheel as well, as far as the 3 connecting bolts. Now we just got to get the bearings in. We did clean and pack the bearings, so we'll get it in now. All right, there's that side. Let's get the other side together. Clip is engaged. It is good to go. When we pulled this apart, it wasn't bad, but it was pretty hard to rotate. But now it spins perfectly. All right, let's get it over there and get it mounted on the front. See if it holds weight. Let's go up a little bit higher. All right, so we'll grab the torque wrench. We will check the torque on the front end. And then we'll let the pressure down on it and we'll check the air pressure in the front tire. All right, so the 401's down on its own weight, on its brand new tire. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. Even the amount of spread here on the shock. I mean, I think it should be set probably about another inch yet, but we'll adjust them to the perfect setting before we hop in it and taxi it around. All we got to do yet is get the rear main tires off, pull those tires off, put the new tires on, remount them, adjust the strut pressures, and we're ready to go. This is why after an airplane sits for 17 years in one spot, or 12 years in one spot, and like 5 in another, something like that, the cracks are so deep, I guarantee that's almost through the whole tire. So we gotta get this caliper off, and then we gotta loosen up the retaining nut and get the cert clips and everything off the other side. And then this whole assembly will come off. All right, wheels off. It's got, compared to all of the other airplanes I've worked on, this does have the biggest brake setup. It's got like a, I think it's like a 2-piston with what looks like 6 separate brake pads on it. So, but I guess when you land at like 120 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour, depending on where you're landing at, and you got to stop 6,000 pounds, I guess you better have some pretty brakes. Wheel's really clean, very little corrosion in there. It's been on there for a long time, but it looks really good. Let me get some talc powder in this tire here. Get the spacer back in, get the other wheel halves bolted up. All right, so we have both halves put together. We have all the bolts in. Everything's all torqued. Everything's lined up. Everything's powdered up. Everything's lubed up. Everything's greased up. So only thing we got to do is put some air in it, get this bead seated, and then get over and get the other wheel off and do the same thing on the other side. Let the air out, let it rest a bit, and then air it back up. All right, we got the tire mounted. Everything's all torqued. Everything's good to go. Got it aired up. The tube's not twisted. All right, so we got the wheel on. We have everything tightened to spec. We got the brakes on, and we'll come back yet and torque this up. But yeah, everything looks really good to go. So let's get over to the other side and get that tire on as well. It looks like we do need to put a little bit more air in it, but the shock is set perfect. And it rotates perfect. Bearings are awesome. Everything's all greased up. It really looked good in there. I'm always really excited when we take something apart and it just looks good. I mean, even I was up looking underneath the landing gear at the underside of the wing. And again, I mean, it looks really good in there. There's a little light surface rust. There's a couple things to kind of clean up under there, but it looks good. All right, so let's get this right side up and get this tire off. All right, so we got the rim to finally separate. I'm laughing so hard because off camera, it totally just popped right in my face, and we missed it. But we got it split, so there it is. Let's get the new tire on. All right, let's get some air in this. All right, guys, so tires are on, shocks are inflated. Let's pull this thing out, fire up, and make her move on her own.